Jay here for Stretford, Paddock, and this is a special video looking at the value of Manchester United players. There was an article in the BBC recently where they listed every single United first team player and their value based on sort of some stats and all the rest of it from Transfermarkt and a few other places too. So we're going to have a look at it, go through it and see whether they're accurate and whether we think these players should be sold. Is this good value? If we could get the amount of money that's been suggested for them, would that represent good business for Manchester United? Before we get into all that though, make sure you are hitting like, share and subscribe. I want to get to 750,000 subscribers by the end of the season, and with your support we can do it. So there you can see the BBC article. It says Manchester United are open to offers for almost all of their squad as they look to refresh the team and generate funds under new co-owner Ineos. So there was an article one the last week, or earlier this week I should say, speaking about the fact that basically everyone's for sale, bar I think Kobbie Mainoo, Alejandro Garnacho and Rasmus Højlund, I think were the three that was suggested are not for sale. Everyone else, though, looks like if United can get, or were to get, a big offer for them, they will consider it. Now, I hope that's not the case. I think there's one or two players you think, really? Are we going to sell Lisandro Martinez? Are we going to sell Bruno Fernandes? Are we going to sell Andre Onana? That would be very, very surprising. However, we'll get into it. We'll have a look at this price list and see whether you agree with it. You can see here it's come from the CIES Football Observatory and Transfermarkt to calculate the approximate market value of United's players. So you can see they've used this sort of reputable websites and sources to try and work it out. Obviously, there's always going to be outliers. There's always going to be where clubs that would pay a little bit more for certain players for a multitude of reasons. But it's not entirely scientific. But I've looked at it and I think that it's pretty, roughly accurate. I think I agree with most of it. But we'll get into it and you can let us know in the comments whether you do as well. So the most valuable asset is Marcus Rashford, which I know straight away loads of people are going to be foaming at the mouth going, Marcus Rashford, he's rubbish, what you on about, Jay? How can he be the most valuable asset? It's there. It says it there. His approximate value is 106 million quid. His contract ends in June 28 and his age is 26. Now, there's lots of factors to take in there when thinking about a player and his value. How long have he got left on the contract? So Marcus he's got 4 years left on his contract, which is going to increase your sort of sale value, if you will, because if his contract was to end in the summer, then he wouldn't be worth nearly as much because you could just wait to the summer and get him for now. But then, of course, you've got his age, 26. He's still relatively young. He's not a kid anymore, but he's got at least 4 or 5 years left at the top level. So that is a consideration. Now, the thing with Marcus Rashford is he's very erratic. He's had a poor season this season, if we're being brutally honest, but he had a very good season last season. If you look in his last 106 games for Manchester United, he's got 38 goals. Now, that's not terrible. It's all right. The issue you've got is 30 of them came last season. So he's not on an upward trajectory at the minute. And then the season before that, he got 5 goals in all competitions. But then the season before that, he got 21 goals. The season before that, he got 22 goals. So the point is, Marcus Rashford is capable of scoring lots of goals. He just doesn't do it consistently. He's capable of having very good seasons. Again, though, he doesn't do that consistently. 106 million. Probably a little bit on the steep side, that. I think you struggled to get that for Marcus Rashford. I think you still got a lot of money for him. I know a lot of people don't like Marcus Rashford at the minute. A lot of United fans are just hammering him. But you need to be a bit more realistic. Marcus Rashford is worth a lot of money. He scores a lot of goals. He has scored a lot of goals. He scores some great goals. And also, he scores against big teams as well. He's not just a flat track bullet when it comes to goal scoring. He scores, even this season, he only scored 8 goals. But some of those goals have been against the likes of Arsenal, City, Liverpool, Spurs. So he does turn up in a lot of big games. So that's going to add to your value as well. So I don't think it is 106 million, I'll be honest. But I don't think it's that far off. I think anyone who can score goals and is not that old is going to be worth a lot of money. And look at some of the transfers we've seen in the past as well for players who I don't think are as good as Marcus Rashford going for huge amounts of money. So I think closer to 80 million. And a lot of people, I know the way people feel about Marcus. People are going to go, Jay, you're off your head, 80 million for Marcus. Look, there's a player who scored. He scored over 130 career goals, well, club goals. He's only 26. It's not that old. There's a lot of time left on his contract, and he scored in some big games. And also, from a business point of view, Marcus Rashford is one of the biggest names in football. He is. He's one of the most spoken about players in football. And if, from a marketing perspective, if you consider that when someone's coming in for him, because a lot of clubs do consider that nowadays, then he ticks a lot of boxes there. So I think closer to 80 million. Let me know in the chat in the comments what you're thinking. Don't be stupid about it. He's worth a quid. Let me know genuinely what you think you would get for Marcus Rashford if we were to sell him in the summer. Because he's a player who, like I said, his goal scoring record is roughly 1 in 3. In fact, I think it's almost identical to 1 in 3. I think he's played 399 games and scored 131 goals for his club. So that's basically 1 in 3, innit? Also, he gets a lot of assists as well. So does that seem fair? Would you sell him? Let me know in the comments in the chat. Would you sell Marcus Rashford? Would you sell him for that if that money came in? Or would you keep him? Let me know what you think. I love Marcus Rashford. I do. I hate seeing the amount of stick he's getting. If it was 106 million, I'd consider it. I'm not going to lie to you. But I don't see that happening. I don't think you get 106 million. I just don't. I think you're probably getting closer to 80, maybe even 75 million. Would you adequately replace him, though? That's the question I've always got when it comes to this idea of selling Marcus Rashford. We spent 150 million on Anthony and Jadon Sancho on the right-hand side, and have we fixed that problem? No. We need to go out and buy another right-winger, probably. So, I don't know. Careful what you wish for. Rasmus Højlund, 21, 93 million. So we paid 71 million for him in the summer. His value's gone up, which doesn't surprise me because I think he's had a good season. I know he's not scored a ridiculous amount of goals, but he has scored goals. And he obviously went through that bit of a lean spell, but then he made up for it. So he's now on 14 goals in 38 games. Good return, that. Good player. Holds the ball up well. Brings in others around him. Lots to like about him. Very young. I think 93 million. I'd probably go a little bit less. A little bit less. Because United paid 70 for him. I think, has he increased by 23 million over this season? I don't know if he has. I think 90 or just under 90 might be fairer. Let me know what you think. I don't think he's going anywhere, by the way. I don't think we need to have a debate about selling him because we're going to. Garnacho, 92 million. 19 years old. A little bit less than Rasmus. I can see it. I think strikers are always going to go for more. And Højlund is a striker. Garnacho, obviously, an inverted winger. He's not really a winger, is he? We say wingers, they're not. Ryan Giggs is a winger. David Beckham was a winger. I think these players are just attackers would be fairer. 90 million, I think, would be... Because he's 19, and there's always that thing with Garnacho. There's a small chance he could go on to do something ridiculous. I'm not saying he will, but there's a chance that he could go on to be like one of the great players. You don't know. He's got that potential. Is it worth 90 million? Is it worth a 90 million pound punt? I'd go a little bit lower. Probably, I think, 80 million, 85 million. Anthony, 63 million. No. I'm sorry. And I get some stick sometimes. People think I've got it in for Anthony. Like, oh, Jay, why are you always slagging off Anthony? Why are you criticising Anthony? I'll say this again. I've said it a million times. I want Anthony to do well. I want Anthony to perform. There's things I like about Anthony. I said this after I think it was the Liverpool League game. I said I like the fact that he can be a bit of a knobhead. Like on the pitch, he can be a bit of a loon, can't he? And I don't mind that sometimes when he's like getting involved in certain things and kicking off whatever. I like that. But, I mean, his record speaks for itself. The guy's just not been putting up any numbers, really. And it's like, that's the disappointing thing. I'm trying to get behind him. He's got 1 Premier League goal and 1 Premier League assist, I think, this season. His 1 Premier League goal obviously came the other day. And I think going back to last season, it was 1 goal in like his last 22 games last season. So I think he's got like 2 goals in his last 49 Premier League games. I mean, again, you could go a bit further back in where he did score 3 in his first 3 games, but he's just not putting up any numbers. And he's a skillful lad. There's no doubt about it. Would you get 63 million quid for him? I don't think you would. If you could, I'd take it. I think you'll be lucky to get half of that. I do. I think you have to take a massive hit on Anthony. Let me know in the chat in the comments whether you think he's worth 63 million, whether you think he's worth close to 30 million, which is what I believe, whether you think we should stick with him. He's not a kid. He's 24. So he's not Garnacho or even Højlund age where you go, oh, he's going to kick on. And he's had a pretty underwhelming 2 seasons. Last season was okay. This season not been good enough. Delo, 61 million. I don't think that's a million miles away, People will laugh at that, but Delo's had a very good season. And he's a decent... When I say decent, I mean that as a compliment. He's a very good right-back. He is. And I think he's been moved from pillar to post. He's played a lot of football. I mean, he doesn't score a lot of goals, but he's capable of getting you the odd goal. he's not as bad going forward as people. He's not as bad defensively as people used to make out. People say, "Oh, Wan-Bissaka's good defensively. Delo's a disaster." He isn't. He's a good all-round modern fullback. I think you could probably get. I think you get 50 million quid for him in this day and age. He's 25. I think 61 million is not that far off. Maybe 55. I'd go with. Fernandes, 60 million. Thing goes against Bruno Fernandes. He's 29. If Bruno Fernandes was 22, he'd be worth double that. He would. He'd be worth 120 million quid. But he ain't, so he's not. Also, as well, Bruno less than Delo, as my producer just pointed out there. I didn't even notice that. Seems odd. I think the years are doing a lot of heavy lifting there, aren't they? The fact he's 4 years older. But I think Bruno, and you can clip this up in 5 years' time and ram it down my throat, I think he's one of those players who could go on till his late 30s. He's never injured. I mean, there's talk of him missing the Palace game this weekend, which is just a shock, because I think that'd be like his first game he's missed since he arrived through injury. And he covers every blade of grass. He's got a right engine on him. I think he could end up with Bruno Fernandes playing like comfortably till he's 34, 35. So if you were to get 5 years out of Bruno Fernandes, what's that worth to you? It's worth more than 60 million quid. I think that's low for him. I do certainly agree with I mean, Bruno Fernandes less than Anthony. Shut up. Bruno Fernandes less than Delo? No. Despite the fact he's 29, I think you would get 80 million quid for Bruno Fernandes. I do. I think you've sold him, you get big dough for him. He's got 3 years left on his contract. I think someone comes in and goes, look at his numbers, look at what he brings. If you put him as well in a functioning team, I think he'd do much better than he does for United. Let me know what you think. Again, Bruno's one that seems to have divine opinion for some silly reason. He's our best signing post for Alex Ferguson by a country mile. And no matter how poor you think United have been over the last 3 or 4 years or whatever, or, we've had bad seasons and good, we would be far, far worse if Bruno Fernandes didn't sign. I'm going to go through the rest of these a bit quicker, because we don't need to spend 40 minutes speaking about whether Johnny Evans is going to collect a fee when we know he won't. No slander on him, I love him. Onana, 53 million, 28 years old. He's had a difficult start, better sort of finish. I get that. I think probably a little bit more than I'd expect. I think just shy of 50 is not too far off. Scott McTominay, 27 years old, 46 million. Would you take that for Scott McTominay? Someone offers you £46 million for him. Would you take it? I know the answer. I think everyone is going to say yeah. Scored a lot of goals all this season. I mean, how many players have you got in your squad that can score how many goals is it? 10 goals from midfield. Admittedly, he's never done that before, but he's in a rich vein of form. Do you stick or twist? I think you'd probably twist. You'd probably sell him. Let me know what you think. Right, this one, excuse my language, can fuck right off. I don't know what they were sniffing when they wrote this. Kobe Mainu, 45 million. Shut up, right? Put a fucking zero on the end of that. Seriously, he's priceless. We're not going to sell him, and if we sold him for 45 million, just fold the club. We're done. Sancho, 43 million. I think, again, that's right. Now's the time probably to sell him. He just smashed it in the Champions League, didn't he? That performance against PSG. Not had a great spell since he came from Manchester to Manchester United from Dortmund. Even at Dortmund this season, he's done all right, but he's not been, amazing. So I don't think you can go, oh, well, look what he's done at Dortmund this time. He's absolutely smashing it. He's put in probably his best performance in about 4 years the other day against Paris Saint-Germain. He certainly chose the right time to do it, by the way. But he's got 2 goals and 2 assists in the Bundesliga in 12 games. So he's done okay. I think 43 million is about right. Martinez, 25 million. No, nonsense. He's been injured this season. You get much more for him. I think you could double that. Good signing, good player. We won't sell him. Mount, 25 million, What did we pay for him? About 50. That's a joke, that, isn't it? Is his value halved just because he's been injured all season? You get more for him than that. If United decided to sell him, a new manager come in and went, look, I don't want Mason Mount, get rid of him. You'd get at least 40 million quid for him. England international, Champions League winner. His record is about 1 in every 3 for goals and assists. He gets you a goal or assist every 3 games. That's not bad. I think he's more of a number 10 than when he's been playing everywhere else. I think you get 40, 50 million for him. Casemiro, 32, 24 million. I think you struggle to get that for him. He seems like he's in a decline. I hope I'm wrong, but he's 32 and he's on huge money. This is a factor you have to consider a lot of these as well. They're on big dough. Big dough. Shaw, 28, 18 million. I think that's harsh. I think if United would sell Luke Shaw next season, despite his injury issues, I think you still get 30 odd million for him. Established in England international, one of the best left backs on the planet when he's fit. It's injuries. Maguire, 14 million. I think you get more than 14 million for Maguire. Would you sell any of these, by the way? Would you sell Mount? Would you sell Casemiro? Would you sell Shaw? I wouldn't sell Mount, or I certainly wouldn't sell Martinez. Shaw, probably not. Not for 18 million, it's not worth it. Maguire, 40 million, I think you get a bit more. England international, I know he's 31. I think you can get over 20 million quid for him. Lindelof, 13 million, makes sense to me that. Martial, 11 million, when his contract runs out in 2 months. Or next month. What? No. You're not going to get that for him. It's obviously his valuation. It's about right, but we ain't going to get any dough for him. He's leaving. Varane's leaving as well, I think. 11 million. It's a shame, innit? 30 years old. Injuries, though. Malacia, 10 million. His value's pretty much stayed the same. Makes sense. Very good first season. Injured the entire second season. Wan-Bissaka for 10 million. Seems low, that, to me. I'd double that. He's one of the best defensive right-backs in the world. He is. Defensively, he's mint. I know he's given away a few penalties, but he's still fantastic defensively. It's just going forward, he's a bit patchy, shall we say, and his injuries haven't been great for him as well. And also, he's had a couple of games where you go, But I still think he's a very good player. I think that's harsh. For a 26-year-old Premier League established player, double that. Bayern Day, whatever. Diallo, 7. What? For that goal against Liverpool alone, you can add a 0 on. Eriksen, 7, yeah, makes sense. And Amrabat. Do you know what? Yeah, I think that's his career. Not applicable. Some shouldn't say that. He had a decent career before he came to United. United career, though, has been out, has it? Kumbuala, that's a bit harsh, isn't it? 1. King hell. Hey, what is this, 1992? 1 million quid? Oh, sorry, Kumbuala, I don't agree with that. I think you're worth more than that, but we don't know, do we? And Evans, 0. Total of 846 million quid. United could raise a lot of money if we decided to go have a bit of a fire sale, which has been suggested. Now, some of those players, Højlund, for example, Garnacho, for example, Mainu, they're not going anywhere. Others, Marcus Rashford, it's doubtful, probably unlikely. But you do have some players in that mid-section. If you can just scroll up a little bit, you'll see it, where you've got the likes of McTominay. You've got, who else? Sancho in there. You could throw him in there. Casemiro in there. There's enough there to raise at least 100 million. One player I don't see here, unless I've missed him, is Mason Greenwood. They've not included him. Now, we know that Mason Greenwood isn't at Manchester United because of issues other than his footballing ability, but I think you get at least 40 million quid from Mason Greenwood. I think he's around that Sancho number there. So let me know what you think anyway. Who do you want to see go? Should we sell all of them? Start all over again? Fold the club, it's all over. We're finished, we're washed. Or should there be a select few? Which few should it be? Get involved in the chat in the comments. Let me know what you think. I've been Motty. This has been a look at United's potential outgoings and how much they're worth. Thanks for watching.